In the heart of Quo Ibo Village, where the forest swayed in harmony with the whispering winds and the rivers sang songs of old, lived a young woman named Ima. She was known for her ethereal beauty and a voice that carried emotions too deep for words. Every evening, as the golden sun bowed to the embrace of dusk, Ima would sit by the Uyai River, her melodies weaving into the gentle hum of the water. The villagers believed the river held ancient secrets, tales of love, longing, and fate. And on this particular evening, Ima's song carried an ache she could not explain. Unbeknownst to her, she was not alone. Hidden among the shadows of the trees stood Edidem, a gifted but tormented painter. He had wandered to the river seeking solace, burdened by expectations he could no longer shoulder. But when Ima's voice drifted through the air, he felt something shift inside him, a spark of inspiration, a pull he could not resist. When her song ended, Edidem stepped forward, the dying sunlight painting his features in soft gold. "It seems the Uyai River does more than whisper secrets," he said with a teasing smile. "It brings together those who are meant to meet." Ima turned, startled but unafraid. Their eyes met, and in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. What began as curiosity soon bloomed into something deeper. Every evening they met by the river, exchanging stories, dreams, and laughter. Ima became the muse Edidem never knew he needed, and in turn, he painted her in ways words could never capture. Every stroke of his brush was a silent confession of love. But love, even in its purest form, is rarely without trials. Edidem belonged to a lineage of wealth and power, his father, a formidable merchant, and his mother, a woman of unyielding pride, had already chosen his bride, a woman of status, not the daughter of a simple fisherman. The whispers of their meetings reached the wrong ears, and soon dark clouds gathered over their love. One evening, as the river mirrored the bruised hues of the sky, Edidem arrived with turmoil in his eyes. Ima, sensing his distress, reached for him. "What is it?" she asked softly. Before he could answer, the rustling of leaves announced an uninvited presence. A voice, sharp as a blade, cut through the air. "Edidem." They turned to see his mother standing at the riverbank, her posture rigid, her eyes cold as steel. "We need to talk. Now." Ima's heart clenched as she watched the conflict in Edidem's gaze, the war between love and duty, desire and obligation. Without a word, he stepped away from her, following his mother into the gathering darkness. Ima stood frozen, her heart pounding as the whispers of the river morphed into echoes of heartache. Days melted into weeks, and Ima found herself returning to the Uyai River, only to be greeted by silence. The absence of Edidem's laughter, his voice, his presence, left a hollow ache in her chest. She knew what had happened. His mother had succeeded. Society had won. But love, when true, is not easily silenced. In the confines of his home, Edidem suffocated under the weight of expectation. His parents reminded him of his duty, of the family name, of the life they had built for him. But each night, when the world grew quiet, he painted. He painted Ima, her face, her voice, the way the sun kissed her skin. He brought her to life on every canvas, his brushstrokes fueled by longing and defiance, until one morning he could take it no longer. As the first light of dawn crept across the sky, Edidem made his choice. He would fight for love. He ran. When Ima arrived at the river later that day, she felt the familiar ache return, until she heard it. The rustling of leaves, the sound of hurried footsteps. She turned, and there he was, breathless, wild-eyed, unshaken. In his hands, he clutched a canvas, and as he stepped forward, he revealed it, a breathtaking portrait of her, bathed in sunlight, alive with color, filled with love. "I painted this for you," he said, his voice unsteady but firm. "Because you are my muse, my heart, my everything." Tears welled in Ima's eyes as she took in the depth of emotion etched in every brushstroke. "But your family," she whispered, uncertainty thick in her voice. Edidam took her hands, his grip warm, steady. "Let them build walls if they must," he said. "Love was never meant to be caged." And then, with the courage of a man who had defied fate itself, he dropped to one knee. From his pocket, he pulled out a simple ring, woven from river leaves and stones. "Ima," he breathed, "will you be my partner? Not just in love, but in life?" A sob escaped her lips, and without hesitation she nodded. "Yes. 1,000 times, yes." As they embraced by the Uyai River, laughter and whispered promises filled the air, carrying their love through the wind, the trees, and the stories yet to be told. They knew the path ahead would not be easy, but hand in hand, heart to heart, they would walk it together. And thus, in the land of Quo Ibo Village, where the rivers whisper secrets and the sun sets in gold, a love story was written, one that would echo for generations to come. The days that followed Edidam's declaration were filled with a love so fierce it felt like the universe itself had conspired to keep them together. But reality, like an unrelenting tide, soon came crashing down. Edidam's disappearance from his family home had not gone unnoticed. His father's rage was a storm, his mother's disappointment a dagger, a son of prestige, a man of honor. How could he throw it all away for a mere fisherman's daughter? And so, the war began. One evening, as the golden hues of sunset bathed the village in warmth, Ima and Edidam sat by the Uyai River, their hands entwined. But beneath the serenity of the moment, a shadow loomed. A messenger arrived, breathless, his expression grim. "Edidam, your father demands your return, immediately." Ima felt his grip tighten around hers, as if letting go would mean losing her forever. He turned to her, his jaw set in quiet determination. "Whatever they say, whatever they do, I will not leave you." But when Edidam returned home, he was met not with words, but with chains. His father's men seized him, locking him away in a room with nothing but a mat and the cold echo of his parents' disappointment. For days, he was held captive. His meals were meager, his freedom denied. "You will forget the girl," his father commanded. "You will marry the woman we chose." But Edidam, weak but unbroken, simply whispered, "Never." And then the strength of a woman's love days passed, and Ima's heart grew restless. She had heard whispers, rumors that Edidam had been taken, that he was being broken, that his love for her was being buried beneath duty and expectation. But Ima was not content with being a woman who waited for fate to decide her story. On the 7th night, beneath the silver glow of the moon, Ima did something no one expected. She walked straight into Edidam's family compound. The guards sneered, the servants whispered, and Edidam's mother, seated in the grandeur of the courtyard, regarded her with cold amusement. "You dare to come here?" Ima stood tall, her voice unwavering. "I came for Edidam." His mother rose slowly, her gaze sharp as glass. "And what do you think you can do? Love does not build empires, girl. It does not bring wealth nor honor. It is fleeting, like the wind." Ima met her gaze, her heart steady. "Perhaps. But love is also the only thing worth fighting for." A moment of silence, then a laugh, dry, bitter. "Foolish child." But before another word could be spoken, Edidam emerged, weak but unbowed. His father's men had not expected him to have the strength to break free, but the moment he heard Ima's voice, something within him ignited. He staggered forward, his eyes locking onto hers. "Ima." And just like that, nothing else mattered. Defying the odds, Edidem's father stepped forward, his face dark with fury. "If you leave now, you leave this family forever. No name, no inheritance, no protection." The weight of the ultimatum hung heavy in the air. Ima reached for Edidem's hand. "We don't need wealth. We don't need power. All we need is each other." Edidem turned to his father, his voice steady despite the tremor in his limbs. "I was never meant for a life of chains. I choose love. I choose freedom." His father's eyes burned with anger, but Edidem did not wait for another word. Hand in hand, he and Ima walked away from the only life he had ever known, stepping into the unknown, but together. Behind them, the whispers of Quo Ibo Village grew louder. But in their hearts, only love remained. A love that endures. In the days that followed, Ima and Edidem built a life not of riches, but of happiness. Edidem's paintings, once stifled by duty, now flourished with passion, his art capturing the soul of Quo Ibo Village, the whispers of the Uyai River, and the love that had defied the odds. And then, one fateful day, as the sun set in streaks of crimson and gold, Edidem led Ima back to the river where their love story began. In his hands he held a ring, not of leaves and river stones, but of silver, carved with the patterns of the flowing Uyai. "Ima," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Through storms and fire, through loss and sacrifice, there has only ever been one truth. I love you. Will you be my wife?" Tears glistened in Ima's eyes as she whispered the only answer her heart had ever known. "Yes." And as the river sang its song, carrying their story through time, the people of Quo Ibo Village would forever speak of a love that neither wealth, nor power, nor fear could destroy. A love that endured. A love that whispered through the ages. The whispers of the heart. If this story moved you, subscribe for more timeless love stories.